This buddy here in Midland, Texas. Last night I had a phone call from Renee Callahan or Sonia Callahan. She is the person that News West 9 had reported in 2012 as being at the home in Odessa where a girl matching Hailey Dunn's description was killed by an overdose. And so she asked me to write her a letter and send her some pictures, which I did. I I printed off the reward picture of the secret police, the $2,000, the crawl for life picture of me crawling out, the picture of the falsified X-rays that nobody can deny, and several other important pictures to this story. Also, the private message that was the Hailey Dunn murder confession, since that's really what this is about. That was the drug rehab counselor over in, is working over in Odessa, and contacted me and told me that a guy or a client had confessed to being at a home over in Odessa where Hailey Dunn was overdosed and died. It was the same exact story that Renee had, and so that's why I reached out to her and now in contact. Anyway, I wrote her this letter. I don't like reading to you, but I'm going to go ahead and read to you, and let's get started. Renee, I hope this letter finds you doing okay. It was nice visiting with you the other night, and I'm very interested in what you know about Hailey Dunn. Her murder seems to be connected to the many crimes which have been and are still being committed against me. Let me start off by telling you a small part of my story. I was transferred to Midland, Texas from Hobbs, New Mexico in October 2008, and I was a 25-year company man who had never had a felony. A couple of weeks before I moved here, the previous homeowner dies of an overdose. He was only 27 years old. I since found 2 death notices for him, with one saying that he died here in Midland and another where he says that he died in Fort Worth. I can also prove by pictures that somebody had kicked in the back door of this house sometime during the month that he died. His sister said he died in Fort Worth, but my neighbor across the street said that he died here and then said, "I should know, right?" I think she should. I think he was murdered by the same people and taken to Fort Worth by the same people who would later try to murder me. This neighbor also said that another person had died here before him. He was arrested for firing a gun in this home, and I wonder if he didn't shoot at the same home intruders that continued to break into my home. My first call to the police for a burglary was in November 2010, and that's when it started, but it has never ended. I changed all the locks out, screwed windows together, cut trees back, installed security lights, but nothing could keep them out. In 2011, I married a woman for a short amount of time who is now alleged to be involved in the shooting, and she is the first person to suggest these criminals were coming from the ground. She was right. Directly behind my home is a secluded trucking lane from the Midland Home Depot, and I was seeing 24/7 suspicious traffic. 2 store employees told me about prostitution going on back there, and I saw a young girl at the sleeper cab of an 18-wheeler one day. It's the best place to smuggle drugs, weapons, humans, or terrorists from Mexico to Dallas. I separated from a 3-month marriage in January 2012, and I contacted the El Paso and Midland DEA to report a suspected smuggling tunnel going from there over to my home. It's about 75 foot. The DEA never looked, and on 1/28/12, I was shot from ground floor level by surprise in my home while attic-mounted burglar alarms were going off. The evidence is clear that a person under my home shot me. When I fell to the ground, I found my phone line disconnected. They tried to murder me inside my home. This forced me to crawl out on my hands and knees to save my life. My security cameras took a picture of this. I was in the hospital for 8 days where they cut the back of my foot off, so now I'm disabled, and this ended a 28-year career. I then find out that police are saying that I'm crazy and that I shot myself. Keep in mind that prior to being ambushed, I had called the police, the Texas Rangers, the FBI, and the DEA, as well as telling family, friends, and coworkers that people were repeatedly breaking into my home. In my own investigation, I found that 19 minutes after I had crawled out, the first 2 secret police showed up wearing tan uniforms. My attorney subpoenaed the police reports, and no police are listed as being at my home for another 3 days. They had my front cameras disabled in another 20 minutes. A few hours later, on the next day, a larger group of secret police were caught on camera inside my bedroom, stealing evidence, searching drawers, and staging the crime scene of this capital murder attempt. They're wearing blue uniforms, and I believe that I know who 3 of them are. I believe the female Hispanic is Midland Detective Rosa Rodriguez, and she turned out to be childhood friends with the ex-wife who I had filed divorce on 5 days before being shot. This ex had taken my life insurance booklets when we separated, and I feel sure that found out that an accidental death would increase the payout by $500,000. Her friend, the detective, has ruled this murder attempt an accident. The blonde is named MPD Officer April Chandler. When I was at the ER, I told Detective Rodriguez that proof was at my home. This proof was a voice recorder that I had been using to record the burglar alarms going off right before I was shot. It proved that I was under a home invasion, and that makes this a capital offense. That proof was stolen, and the last person to state they had it was Officer Chandler. I believe the guy wearing the Midland Canine Police jacket is named Chad Simpson, who is also from Hobbs, New Mexico. On 12/13/14, I posted a story to my Facebook called Rape and Murder, which told about this girl being murdered at a 2010 oil show party for refusing to prostitute. I suspect this happened in the now not-so-secret underground facility, which is alleged to be a half block from my home. My friend who was there was afraid to report this and said that high-level police were there when this happened. I then get threatened at work on my company's cell phone from a Midland cop telling me I better not talk to this ex-girlfriend again, and I was encouraging her to report this murder that she witnessed that police were involved in. A real investigator could find out which cop called me, and that is most likely one of the ones involved in the rape and murder, right? 2 days after I posted this story, Midland Canine Police Officer Chad Simpson is alleged to have murdered his wife and then killed himself. I now think he was the one that called me, and that he was also one of the secret police. I'm offering a $2,000 reward to anybody that can identify the secret police, which is unheard of and should be a national news story. Actually, this should be a national news story on several different levels. A couple of months before the murder attempt, I was told in confidence and 100% sincerity, the secret is that a group of doctors are killing people for profit. What I found out later was the emergency room doctor was my brother-in-law that I didn't know about. I was only married for 3 months. I then found out that my x-rays had been falsified. They were showing me the x-rays of another person and repeatedly recommending that I allow them to amputate my leg at the knee. They wanted to cut off the evidence. There's no doubt about this either, and I have the proof posted in public. Plus, it's turned into the Texas Medical Board and the FBI. In an x-ray taken on the night of the murder attempt, it's easy to see the heel bone is missing, but I hadn't had surgery yet. It's not my foot in the x-ray. My heel bone is missing now, though, and I believe they intentionally maimed and mutilated me to try and cover up this failed murder. These people wanted my home, and they wanted the life insurance money, but now they're busted, except nobody is doing anything about it. That is why I make these videos, and I've had about 250,000 views so far. I made a set of videos called Midland, Texas, Tunnels and Crime, and the Part 3 video talks about the trucking lane out back, the child sex trafficking, and I mentioned Hailey Dunn. I had read the Department of Justice on March 14, 2013, and I suggested they come to my home, find these tunnels, underground facilities, and look for clues into the disappearance of Hailey. And then 2 days later, her remains are found. I kid you not. She had been gone for 810 days. A woman from here sees the video and writes me on Facebook to tell me that she was a drug rehab counselor over in Odessa when a client confessed to murdering Hailey Dunn at a home over there. She said this guy had told her Hailey's mom sold her for $135 of meth. They shot her up with something and she died. Angelina Mitchell said it was heroin. She had details about how they put her in a box and buried her. This is when I remembered the News West 9 story about you from 2012, so I created a video called Hailey Dunn Murder Confession, and it's had over 20,000 views by itself. In a recent Facebook conversation, a woman named Taryn Thomas said that over 10 people knew Hailey was at that home over in Odessa, and she said something about her head being shaved. Do you remember that happening? I'd like to know more about the details of what happened to Hailey, such as where, when, who, why, etc. Seems to me that you told the same story that I heard from another person, and that can't be a coincidence. I've enclosed some pictures from my story and about Hailey that I think you will find interesting. I personally feel like any case those secret police have worked on needs to be reviewed. If they testified and put somebody in prison, then the jury needed to hear what they do when they think the cameras are turned off. We have a major integrity problem around here. I'm a big supporter of law enforcement, but I'm against corruption, as we all should be, buddy. Anyway, that's my letter there. I'm gonna go ahead and stop this. And if you know anything about these crimes, please report it and share this video.